Welcome to History with Herodotus, where we delve into the fascinating stories of the past. Today, we embark on an exploration of the Suez Crisis, a pivotal moment in modern history that shaped the course of international relations and global politics. As we begin our journey through this complex and intriguing tale, let us first set the stage by examining the earliest history of the Suez Crisis. The Suez Canal, a marvel of engineering that connects the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea through Egypt, has long been a crucial waterway for international trade and commerce. Its construction, completed in 1869 by the Suez Canal Company, led by Ferdinand de Lesseps, was a groundbreaking achievement that significantly reduced travel time between Europe and Asia. However, the canal's strategic importance also made it a coveted prize for colonial powers seeking to expand their influence. As we navigate the early history of the Suez Crisis, we find ourselves in the late 19th century, when the British Empire, under the leadership of Prime Minister Benjamin Disraeli, began to take a keen interest in the Suez Canal. In 1875, Britain purchased a significant portion of the Suez Canal Company's shares from the Egyptian Khedive Ismail Pasha, effectively gaining control over the waterway. This move was motivated by Britain's desire to secure its trade routes and maintain its dominance over the seas. The Suez Canal became a vital artery for British commerce, connecting the empire's vast territories in Asia and Africa with the mother country. As the 20th century dawned, the canal's strategic importance was further underscored during World War I, when it served as a critical supply line for the Allied powers. In the aftermath of the war, the Suez Canal was formally internationalized, with the 1888 Convention of Constantinople guaranteeing its neutrality and freedom of navigation. However, this internationalization did not diminish the canal's allure to colonial powers. Egypt, which had been under British occupation since 1882, began to stir with nationalist sentiment. The Egyptian people, led by figures such as Saad Zaghloul and Mustafa Nahas, demanded independence and self-determination. In 1922, Britain formally granted Egypt its independence, but the Suez Canal remained a point of contention, with the British maintaining control over the waterway. The early history of the Suez Crisis is also marked by the rise of Gamal Abdel Nasser, a charismatic and ambitious Egyptian leader who would play a central role in the unfolding drama. Born in 1918, in Alexandria, Egypt. Nasser was educated at the Egyptian Military Academy and quickly rose through the ranks of the Egyptian army. He became a key figure in the Free Officers Movement, a group of military officers who sought to overthrow the Egyptian monarchy and establish a republican government. In 1952, Nasser and his fellow officers staged a successful revolution, toppling King Farouk and establishing the Republic of Egypt. Nasser's vision for Egypt was one of independence, self-determination, and Arab nationalism. He saw the Suez Canal as a symbol of Egyptian sovereignty and a vital component of the country's economic development. As we explore the streets of Cairo in the early 1950s, we find a city abuzz with nationalist fervor. The scent of cardamom coffee wafts through the air, mingling with the sound of Arabic chatter and the hum of traffic. The Nile River, lifeblood of Egypt, flows gently through the heart of the city, its banks lined with ancient mosques and modern buildings. The stage is now set for a dramatic confrontation between Egypt, Britain, France, and Israel, with the Suez Canal at the center of the maelstrom. As we conclude our examination of the earliest history of the Suez Crisis, we find ourselves poised on the threshold of a new era, one marked by heightened tensions, daring maneuvers, and the fate of nations hanging in the balance. Join me as we venture deeper into the chronicles of time, where the destinies of empires and the course of human events were forever altered. Welcome back to History with Herodotus, where we're exploring the fascinating story of the Suez Crisis. As we enter the mid-1950s, the Suez Canal has become a flashpoint for tensions between Egypt, Britain, France, and Israel. Nasser's nationalization of the canal in July 1956 sparks a chain reaction of events that will lead to a full-blown international crisis. The British and French, who had controlled the canal since its construction, are determined to regain control and protect their interests. In October 1956, Britain, France, and Israel form a secret alliance to invade Egypt and retake the canal. The plan, codenamed Operation Musketeer, involves a coordinated attack on Egyptian forces with the aim of toppling Nasser's government and restoring British and French control over the canal. As the invasion unfolds, Egyptian forces put up a fierce resistance, but they are vastly outnumbered and outgunned. On October 29, 1956, Israeli troops cross into the Sinai Peninsula, followed by British and French paratroopers, who drop behind enemy lines to secure key objectives. The Egyptians fight bravely, but their air force is quickly destroyed, and their army is pushed back on all fronts. The international community is shocked and outraged by the invasion, with the United States, the Soviet Union, and the United Nations condemning the attack. President Dwight Eisenhower is particularly vocal in his criticism, warning Britain and France that their actions will have severe consequences for the global economy and the stability of the region. As the crisis deepens, Nasser's government faces intense pressure, but the Egyptian leader remains defiant. He orders the sinking of ships in the canal to block the waterway and prevent the invaders from using it. The move is a clever tactical ploy, as it not only hampers the British and French advance, but also draws international attention to Egypt's plight. The Soviet Union, seeing an opportunity to expand its influence in the region, begins to supply Egypt with arms and military advisors. The United States, meanwhile, uses its economic leverage to pressure Britain and France to withdraw their forces. On November 6, 1956, a ceasefire is announced, and the invasion is halted. The aftermath of the crisis sees a significant shift in the global balance of power. The Suez Canal is eventually cleared, and it reopens to international shipping in April 1957. The United Nations establishes a peacekeeping force, known as the United Nations Emergency Force, to monitor the canal and prevent future conflicts. Nasser emerges from the crisis as a hero, his reputation as a champion of Arab nationalism and anti-colonialism cemented. The Suez Crisis marks the beginning of the end of colonialism in Africa and the Middle East, as countries begin to demand independence and self-determination. As we explore the streets of Cairo in the aftermath of the crisis, we find a city filled with pride and defiance. The scent of cardamom coffee still wafts through the air, but now it's accompanied by the sound of jubilation and celebration. The Nile River flows gently through the heart of the city, its banks lined with ancient mosques and modern buildings, a symbol of Egypt's rich history and its determination to forge a new future. The Suez Crisis is a turning point in modern history, marking the end of colonialism and the beginning of a new era of international relations. Join me as we venture deeper into the chronicles of time, where the destinies of empires and the course of human events were forever altered. Welcome back to History with Herodotus, where we're exploring the fascinating story of the Suez Crisis. The Suez Crisis marked a significant turning point in the decline of colonial empires. The failed invasion of Egypt by Britain, France, and Israel exposed the weakness of these powers and led to a loss of confidence in their ability to maintain control over their colonies. As Nasser's nationalization of the Suez Canal sparked a wave of anti-colonial movements across Africa and Asia, countries began to demand independence and self-determination. In the years following the crisis, many African and Asian nations gained independence from their colonial rulers. Ghana, under the leadership of Kwame Nkrumah, became the first sub-Saharan African country to gain independence in 1957. This was followed by a wave of independence movements across the continent, with countries such as Nigeria, Kenya, and Tanzania gaining freedom from British rule. The Suez Crisis also had significant implications for the Cold War. The Soviet Union's support for Egypt during the crisis marked a major escalation of its involvement in the Middle East, while the United States' opposition to the invasion cemented its position as a global leader. The crisis highlighted the dangers of proxy wars and the importance of diplomatic efforts to prevent conflict. As we explore the legacy of the Suez Crisis today, it's clear that its impact is still felt. The crisis marked the beginning of a new era of international relations, one in which colonial powers were no longer dominant and emerging nations began to assert their influence. The United Nations, established in the aftermath of World War II, played a crucial role in mediating the crisis and establishing a framework for international cooperation. In the words of Gamal Abdel Nasser, the Suez Crisis was a victory for Egypt, but it was also a victory for the Arab world and for all those who believe in freedom and independence. As we reflect on the significance of this event, we're reminded that the struggle for self-determination and national sovereignty is ongoing. As we conclude our journey through the chronicles of time, we're left with a profound appreciation for the complexities of history and the enduring legacy of the Suez Crisis. Join me next time as we explore more fascinating stories from the annals of history. That's all for today's History with Herodotus. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, remember that to understand the present, we must first understand the past.